You're listening to Backchat, the podcast that takes you backstage for a chat every Friday on all major platforms. Recorded in Dublin, Ireland, and broadcast around the world. Join Michael O'Reilly and his guest weekly to discuss the entertainment realm and all of its secrets with leading musicians, actors, and entertainers. Before this episode begins, follow us on Instagram at back.chatpodcast and check out our Facebook. But for now, you're listening to Backchat.
Hello and welcome back to Backchat, the podcast that takes you backstage for a chat every week on all major platforms. First of all, thanks very much for streaming Back Tackle last week. Next week is the Christmas special. But this week's guest is a Cork-based beatmaker and producer. He's a member of the Irish label and leading collective Softboy Records. Since he's joined, he has released a string of projects, including singles like Overdue and Wondering. This year, he gifted us with his debut album, Looks Like Rain, featuring names like Kojak, Keen Kavanagh and Kofi Stone. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Gaptoof. Gaptoof, how are you?
So man, how are things? Good.
How's your lockdown been, or since we came out of lockdown? What have you been up to?
Yeah, just the same old really, man. Just trying to make tunes as much as possible. That's probably all you can do in these times anyway. But yeah, it's been good. I recently moved to London, so I'm over here now at the moment. It's kind of probably a weird time to move. I you know, like during lockdown it's a bit weird, but it's good, man. Yeah, just trying to keep busy with tunes really and keep sane as much as possible. So
yeah, no, for sure. And what are the restrictions like over in London now at the moment?
So I think like obviously it's a tier system. Like in Ireland it's different. Like there's the highest level 5. It's like the equivalent here is like tier 3. So it's been in tier 3 now for a couple of weeks, but it came out last week, and now today is 16. We're going back into tier 3 again today. So it's I don't know if it feels like it's a lot more lax over here, to be honest. But I'd say if we had the numbers that London have in Ireland, we'd be panicking.
Yeah.
It's the numbers are quite high over here, to be honest. But yeah, it's just a case of trying to stay as safe as you possibly can individually, and you know, do your bit that way, I suppose. But
yeah, and what is the like the move to London been like for you? Like, do you think that was like a really important thing to do, like after pursuing music?
Yeah, for sure, man. I think obviously I'm not from Dublin or anything, and I'm not really sure how the Dublin scene is in terms of like making a career out of music, but you definitely can't do that in Cork anyway. Yeah. And yeah, for me it was just a case of like I just wanted to get out my project and then move kind of as soon as possible after that. With like obviously COVID didn't allow it for a couple of months, but thank God I was able to get it done anyway. But yeah, it was just a case of like I wanted to work with, you know, people on a one-to-one basis as opposed to like sending beats back and forth the whole time, and like working like remotely, which was kind of like it was kind of like losing out on a lot of work because of that, because people would be like, oh, can you change this one thing in the beat that you just sent me or whatever? And like a lot of the people that I was sending beats to were like over here anyway, and it's just easier to like work in person, you know, like obviously over email and stuff you can only do so much, you can only talk so much. Yeah, so yeah, man, it was definitely I had to do it, like, you know, if I wanted to like take the music thing seriously, which is what I plan to do, you know. Hopefully it works out.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, like the reception that Looks Like Rain has been like really huge for you, I suppose.
Yeah,
if that's fair to say. Like, I mean, the numbers you've been doing across the platforms on, like, you know, so especially like, you know, Dreamcatcher or, you know, Dean Street and stuff, like it's been really good for you. Like, did you expect that when you put it out?
No, not really, because it was initially supposed to be just a beat tape with like no features, and I think the idea was like birthed maybe about 2 years before it even came out. So like I wanted to do like a beat tape with like a zine, like kind of a picture book or whatever you want to call it. And it was always called Looks Like Rain, but when we came closer to releasing, my whole like I was just like on a buzz of like, oh, I want to be more of like a producer as opposed to like just an electronic beat maker, like someone who's making like solo beats. So I kind of wanted to do more production stuff. So we just decided to kind of switch the whole direction to a more like collaborative thing, and I think that just helped. Like it helped the beats a lot, obviously, because the people that are on it are like insanely talented, and like I'm so blessed that they even decided to put verses on those beats. But to answer the question, I definitely didn't think it was going to be as big as it did end up being. Yeah, so it's amazing, man. It's delighted with it. You know what I mean?
What's your favorite? What's your favorite feature on the album?
Oh man, I'm not sure. I feel like obviously Dreamcatcher is like the one I feel like people always gravitate towards, but like I think my favorite feature, and Dean Street obviously, but I think my favorite is the Mimi Cat feature, man. I think that's like the hidden gem I think on the project, like that people like when I got those vocals back, I was like, this shit sounds like Ariana Grande or some shit. You know what I mean?
I thought you were sampling Ariana Grande in that song at the start. Yeah.
Man, I know, it's so people like, you know, like it's so weird. She has no music out or anything. It's crazy. Like she's actually living in London as well, but and she needs to put out stuff ASAP because her voice is like
amazing,
like incredible, you know. So but yeah, I think that's my favorite feature on it. Like the hidden gem of the album, in my opinion, is Caps Lock. So yeah.
No, Dreamcatcher was like my song of the lockdown. So I was actually playing the whole project in the car yesterday, kind of, you know, getting ready for our chat today. And when Dreamcatcher came on, it like threw me back to March with the like Zoom beers and stuff and all. And you won't be able to see this at home, but because there's no video to this podcast, but I'm going to show you my Spotify Wrapped, and you're there on the top 5 artists, man. You're
that's beautiful, man. Thank you so much, bro. That's
no
so
problem.
Nice.
And it's funny because like loads of people were sharing their Wrapped recently, and I think I'm the only person I've seen with all Irish people. So it's Dermot Kennedy, Kojak, Luca, Reggie,
and Gaptoof. Yeah. Jesus, man. I only noticed that there because I just had a quick glance. I didn't realize, damn, they're all Irish as well. Fucking hell. That's class.
What was your Wrapped like this year? Or are you a Spotify guy?
Yeah, no, big Spotify guy. Man, my rap was basically Drake and Brent Faiyaz, like, you know, like those two guys just like dominated my rap. I think. Let me just see if I can check it real quick.
Yeah, have a look. Have a little check.
How do I pull this up? Do I just have to?
I'm trying to think. I think if you go to the Spotify app, right?
Yes.
And then there should be a toggle for your 2020 Wrapped.
Here we go. Yeah, I have it there now.
Alrighty, let's have a look.
My top songs were Lost Kids Get Money, Brent Faiyaz, Clouded, Brent Faiyaz, Been Away, Brent Faiyaz, Haze, Jesse James Solomon, and Bluffing, Brent Faiyaz. So I had four Brent Faiyaz songs in my top 5 of 2020, which is a bit mad. And I think my top artists were just like Drake, Brent Faiyaz, like
Jesse J Solomon is like a bit of a personal favorite of mine. Do you know Meddling Loops? He did it, Reggie.
Of course, yeah, that's, absolutely.
An iconic piece of Irish music, kind of, especially hip hop history. Do you think that that Reggie paved the way for Irish hip hop?
100%, man, 100%. I don't think he gets enough credit in Ireland, you know, like for what he's done. He's like, I think as well, like, just, I don't know, maybe people don't believe this, but I definitely think that the look of like Irish hip hop, or like the visual, or like the aesthetic or whatever, was definitely like, it's very much planted in what Reggie Snow like started and like, you know, initiated. Yeah. And I think like he's a guy that like when I was like 15 or 14 or 15 and like listening to Irish music like for the first time or whatever, he's a guy that I would have been like, that he's so sick. Like I would have been so like into what he was doing, like visually, and like it matched so much of the shit that I thought was like cool or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, like obviously we have like amazing talents like Kojak and like all those lads that are just like mad lyricists, like really talented, like in all different fields, like not just rap, like singing, like production, the whole lot. But I think just initially, like Reggie just made like Irish hip hop kind of cool. I feel like,
Yeah.
man, I don't know, people like, I don't know, like this shit is so like this like topic is so like sensitive, because obviously like people have their personal favorites, and like, you know, a lot of people like have things to say against Reggie and stuff, but I just think that guy is like, you know, the start of when it, yeah, like in my opinion, like, but
Yeah.
that's,
No, I think like my opinion on the whole thing, and like being someone who listens to almost exclusively Irish music, and then pretty much all hip hop on my, you know, is on my kind of agenda when I listen to music, other than Dermot Kennedy, which I'm hands up on fanboy.
yeah.
But like I think with Reggie, he kind of gave Irish hip hop artists the authority to go out and do it. As in, you know, like he went and you know, he started, you know, putting out tunes that were very obviously like American, like representing the Bronx kind of, you know, where it all started with hip hop. But I think he gave guys like Kojak and even like Kneecap and stuff who are rapping in Irish, and you know, Kojak is rapping in his, you know, true and true Cabra accent. Like, you know, he gave them that platform to do that and to play shows, not just in Ireland. Like, you know, just because
Yeah,
like he put a flag, you know, in the ground everywhere. I feel like, if that's fair to say.
100%. Yeah, definitely, man. I totally agree with that. Yeah.
And for yourself, like how did you like get into beat making and kind of production? Like, you know, how did you find that path?
Um, I think, yeah, I was probably like always exposed to like, you know, like electronic kind of music, and like, you know, programmed music, like whether it was like garage or like electronic or things like that. Like my dad would have always been playing like a lot of like garage and stuff, and I think like as well as that, like I would have had like an exposure to like R&B and like jazz and stuff like a lot from like a young age. I think that just kind of got me interested in like music that maybe wasn't like pop music, you know what I mean? Or like
Yeah.
that was maybe my like avenue into like stuff that was a little bit different. Um, and then I think I just like just got into like, you know, the whole program of like, I remember I was using I think called Mixcraft, sorry, which is like some like base level like DAW, and I was like putting like loops together, like, you know, like drag and drop a loop in, and like,
Yeah.
you know, you match like the loops and stuff. And I think I must have been like probably 16 or something when I first started like toying around with that, and then obviously got into hip hop kind of like throughout my teens and stuff, and just wanted to like know how like Kanye was like making these amazing like soulful beats that like the beat was just like making me feel a certain way. So like I wanted to try replicate that or whatever. And then I realized that there's like producers like that's their sole job, that they don't have to rap, or they don't have to like be the main face.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that like, well, I was never going to be a rapper. Like everyone has a 16 bars like in the talk, like I was never going to be like able to put my voice on a record or whatever. I like learned that fairly early on. But yeah, so just after that, then it was a case of just like getting into like the whole program, and like I think FL Studio was the first, like after Mixcraft, after my like, you know, dragging the loops in and like all that stuff. It was like FL that like kind of, and I still use it today. So that was
That was the
probably
real.
yeah.
And with kind of producing, there's like it's a bit of a taboo thing, like with sampling. Do you ever reveal where you get your samples?
No, I think it's like, do you know what? Like sometimes I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but I think it just like, it's like a magician like revealing their secret or something. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's like, because people always ask me about the Dreamcatcher sample, and I'm like,
I really want to know where that comes from.
yeah, yeah. But like the reason why it's good is because it's like unrecognizable. You know, it's like
Yeah.
I've my intention is to like chop it up or like make it, you know, hard to find, like, and
I've scoured the
but
internet for that sample, and
yeah.
when you dropped the album, I went on your live streams and I was like, where's the sample from for Dreamcatcher? And you're just like, shh. And I was like, oh. Like
Yeah,
I
man.
image of you in like All City or something like that, like getting the dustiest record and like, you know, bringing it home and, you know,
Yeah,
sampling it. It's
that's
such a
it,
cool
man.
sample.
It's like, do you know what? Like, it's like I'd love to like have a list of like the samples that were on Looks Like Rain or whatever, but like I'd just be like snitching on myself basically because like
Yeah.
you know like Dreamcatcher has a good few streams now, and like obviously like I get like there's a legal repercussions to like.
Are you,
And
is that a like a nervous thing with sampling? Like, do you stress over that a bit?
yeah, like I've definitely like lost out on opportunities because there was like samples in my music, like people that were like people that wanted to use like things for like ads or whatever that like couldn't because there was a sample that was uncleared like in my music or whatever. But I clear every single sample. But no, I've never I've to be honest, man, I stay away from that kind of stuff because I'm not. It's like very complicated music business shit, like, and I just try and like make my music and try and make the samples as like indistinguishable as
That's
possible.
possible, yeah.
And but yeah, like I've definitely like lost out on things because there was samples in my tunes, and I think since then, and like like even in the last like year or so, like I mean the Paris Texas song that was on Green Diesel,
What a
that
tune.
was just play yeah, like that was just played, like that was no samples or anything. The Club Cop one that I just released was like no samples either, so like I'm kind of doing a few bits now that like are just completely compositional, quote unquote, because I can't really play or anything. I just like fiddle around with the keys and like
Yeah.
hope something good comes up really. But yeah, like man, sampling's a headache if you're good at sampling, and making things like indistinguishable. Definitely go for it. But if you just want to like do loops and you just want to like take like stuff directly from the record, like you could really be
Getting messy.
messy, suffering in the long run as well. Like if your stuff does blow up, like you could be in a bit of a situation there, like if it's not cleared.
Yeah.
So touch wood, none of my shit gets like
Yeah, no, I'm hoping
snitched on or
nothing gets out there.
yeah.
Where did the name Gaptoof come from?
Yeah, so like I used to go under a different alias, like
Nostalgic.
nostalgic. Yeah, yeah. That was when I was like a knowledge stan, like the
Yeah,
big
yeah, yeah.
knowledge, and like he had the X, and I was like, oh man, that's so cool. Like, let me just. It's like back when fellas were playing Call of Duty, and their name used to be like XX skills sniper or whatever. Like, it's like the same shit. But then Gaptoof just came along because I was chatting with the lads actually, Kev and Keen, and like we were kind of saying like that if I was to like release music more frequently, like on like big platforms, like because I was only on SoundCloud at the time, that I'd run the risk if I kept the name nostalgic that I'd be like a knowledge like copy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like my stuff like sounded like knowledge as well at the time, to be honest. So then like I was just like, what name will represent me, and like I just like obviously like I've got a gap there, so I just said that's my name. But I made it. I finessed it with a little tooth, like obviously.
I
But,
like that bit.
yeah, but yeah. So and man, later, like after I chose that name, like fucking Tyler the Creator of all people starts calling himself like Gaptoof T and all this shit, like, and I'm like,
Oh,
oh, they're
wow.
now gonna think I'm taking the Tyler the Creator shit, but like that was, I promise you, that was before he started doing that. Like,
So is Tyler copying your shit now? Like,
oh man, like where's my royalty check for that? Like,
yeah.
no, but yeah, that's how it came about. Anyway, just like obviously just wanted something that would represent me, like, cause like I was always like insecure about my teeth, and then like I was just like fuck it, like I'll just
Own
whatever,
it.
own it, whatever, yeah.
Um, like, do you think like being a producer, like a producer tag is a really important thing?
Yeah, right now anyway, for sure, yeah, because like man, it's like hard enough. There's like multiple layers to it, but I think it's like hard enough to get paid as a producer anyway. And like if you don't get paid, you may as well have your tag in there. Like that's
Yeah.
gonna, like if your tune blows up, like you may as well have your tag in there. And like for like selling beats and stuff as well, it's really handy. But I think like the best tags are the ones that are like, oh, like this shit is like either funny or like it's just like so like specified to the producer, or like, you know, it
Yeah. Some of
like
them are mental.
yeah,
Like,
some of them like, yeah.
what's your
um
favorite one, sorry?
oh fuck, man, I have loads of favorite. um do you know that one, do you know the one where he's like, you didn't even pay for this beat though? Do you know that
Oh
tag?
yeah. I've heard
What's
that
that?
one.
Who has that one again? Fucking, because like the rapper would be like, oh, like 10 chains, ice on my wrist, blah blah blah, and then
You're
you
right.
ain't even pay for this beat though. Like, that's so funny. I think that's like those clever ones. It's like graffiti, man. It's like when you're like tagging up a wall or whatever. It's
Yeah.
like the same kind of energy, and like, and it's like just, oh, my favorite one, and it's not even a producer one, is the Griselda one, man. Do you know the Griselda one?
No, what's that like?
I can't even remember the way it goes, but it's just like, it's like almost like a, like it's so like
It's like a sound.
bougie. It's, yeah, it's like so it's like Griselda by fashion, whatever. It's so like it's like it's just on a buzz of like, oh, this is like our brand. This is like our
Yeah,
like
yeah.
aesthetic.
It's like
Like
a
this is our,
champagne kind of.
yeah, like it's like so like luxurious, you know what I mean?
My favorite one is Yo Pierre, you want to come out here? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, see, man, all those new guys do like the most clever like tags, you know, like, well,
Is
yeah, I think they're really important.
Is yours Gaptoof is the goat? Is that?
No, here, oh my God, like people have said that to me a couple times. Is it? It's Gaptooth, please don't go. Is my tag.
Oh, it's not
Yeah.
Gaptoof is the goat. That's what I thought it was.
Someone said this to me as well recently. I'm like, damn, like, because like I got that tag like from do you know the site Fiverr?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so like I just like logged on to Fiverr and I was like, I need a tag, so I just like hit this, like, she's like this voice actor, and like just paid her £5 to say like, got to, please don't go. And like, man, like people love that tag, and like it's mad how people think it's Gap to is the go, because like maybe it's just the way like it's
I'm gonna
mixed or
listen to
whatever.
it again. But like when I
Yeah,
listen to even like Dreamcatcher and stuff, and at the end, like I'll fully be like out loud like Gaptoof is the goat, because that's what I thought it is. Like that's a mind
yeah,
boggle. I'm gonna listen to it so differently now. That's mad.
yeah. That's so funny, man.
How did you come like cross paths with kind of Kev, Kojak, and the lads like Softboy, Keane, and all that?
Yeah, so I think it was probably like 2016, 2015, when my buddy Kev Toomey, who does like my artwork, you know, like Tumo on Instagram,
Hmm.
and he did the artwork for like Looks Like Rain and stuff. He showed me like Kojak's early stuff, like his first project, like Sunday Roast and stuff, and I was blown away, man. I was like, this guy is like, it's like such like tasteful hip hop. Like it's stuff that I would love to like be involved in, like, and it's Irish too.
Yeah.
So then I was like, I just hit Kev up on SoundCloud, being like, oh, like let me send you beats. Like I'd love to work and the whole lot. Ended up sending like a rake of stuff, and I think maybe like a year later, we kind of had, like, this is after like a lot of chatting and stuff, like just over like SoundCloud DMs, like, and then we just kind of like, Kev was like starting up the label at the time with Keane, and they were just kind of saying like, oh, we'd love to put out a little beat tape, like a, you know, of the beats you sent us, and
Yeah.
ended up becoming Motorola, which was like the first project that was released on Softboy. And yeah, like ever since then, man, just like the lads are just, they're like, it's like family, you know. It's like we just, you know, I'm so happy to be involved with the lads, because like just seeing what they've done, and like seeing how far they've come, like they've come since they started the label, and like, you know, it's just like a beautiful thing. But definitely like it just came from like SoundCloud DMs that like turned into like a real life relationship, and like, you know, thank God for that, man. I'm so blessed that happened, because like I love those guys, and like, you know, that's like a real, like, I think that I like, that's really important to me in my life, you know. So like that,
Yeah.
like, thank God for that, you know. So
No, I think that they're out there doing something completely different, especially for Ireland. Like, like as we mentioned before, you think of Reggie, like, who kind of paved the way, and now it's like Soft Boy who are continuing that path. Like,
Yeah,
like
man, it's so mad. Yeah,
it's an amazing
it's like
platform. Like,
definitely, yeah, and like the guys that they have on the label too, like Luke, obviously, Waste Fellow, Brian, like 5 to 2, like all these guys, just nuts, man. Just like different level of like of musicians too, like on the label, and like the the way it's gone has been like like Softboy, like the leading thing, like in Ireland, which
yeah,
is just amazing. But yeah, it's
it's.
brilliant.
And what's your favorite, favorite like tune you've worked on? Let's say with like Kojak and Luca.
Definitely Paris, Texas, man. Definitely Paris, Texas. I think like there's obviously ones that like haven't come out and stuff that I really love as well, but I think Paris, Texas was just one that like because for me like I was kind of getting a little bit. I wanted to put out like an R&B song like that, like actually like came out and like streamed highly and like
Yeah,
was a little bit of a feather in the cap. Like I because I want to make like that's the kind of music I want to make like long term. um, and that was like a real because it happened. I think that came out. Was it just before the Boiler Room? Yeah, it was like the same year of Boiler Room, but like maybe a couple of months before.
yeah,
And I was like, it was the perfect thing to play at that set as well because it was just like it it just I like no samples and the whole lot. Like, I was like, really like proud of that record, because it was like me actually playing chords and like
yeah. It
the
was
whole.
all you, like, yeah,
And no, like to be fair, now Kev, I must say, Kev did bail me out in some aspects. He added bits that were like that finessed it even more and like made it sound crazy. But I think the just me having like played on that record is just like,
insane.
I'm delighted with that. Yeah. So.
Green Diesel was really cool. Was
Mm.
like such an interesting project, and probably my favorite thing on that project is the interlude, Fruity Pebbles. I think it's
Mm.
probably the funniest thing. Like, and it's such a Kojak thing to do. Like, is to put something like that on, like on a record like that. But do you think a good interlude is really important?
Yeah, definitely. Like on like all my favorite albums like have interludes and stuff. Have like these, like even on Keen's new one, is it called inspiration interlude or whatever. Um, Let me just double check that. Man, that's like the fucking best interlude ever. Like that's the most like this like really complex like jazz drumming. Then like just
Yeah,
the
it's
perfect.
inspirational interlude. Yeah,
Yeah. It's amazing. And like even on my project, I had like two little skits that were just basically like interludes as well. Um, and yeah, I think it like ties an album together like really well. Like
yeah.
if you have the right like skits or interludes, So definitely think it's important.
Was it kind of was there any point where it was really frustrating when you were making Looks Like Rain, like, with a project like an album especially, like it's such a
Mm.
long form thing and like it has to be uniform. Was there any points where you're like nearly going to throw in the towel, or you're kind of like, this is just getting too much?
Yeah, like it took ages. It took ages to actually finish it as well. Like we had obviously I had like there was probably 4 beats on there that I had for like 2 years. I'd say like the Nightcrawler one with Yankee, the Too Late one with Kofi Stone.
Great tune.
Looks like Rain. Actually, the beat on there, man. There was loads that I had on there that's on that album. That's like really old. But I think we just like once the lads gave me like a deadline to like get it out. Like that was when like you pull the finger out and you actually like
Start
start
moving.
finishing things. Yeah, like and yeah. So it was actually frustrating. More so getting verses back from certain people like that. Like obviously there was people that like didn't make the album because like I just couldn't get a verse from them. Like and that's like that's always like I completely understand like why someone wouldn't like be able to like get a verse back or whatever. But it's that just trying to get those kind of deadlines finished right before like was a bit tough, right? But yeah, it happened, man. And like, you know, I was so blessed to get the verse that I did get. Like, I mean, you know, like even the Kofi verse, like that was like
That's an insane, weird kind of reminds me of, it reminds me of, what's his name again? Kind of Jesse J. Solomon in a way. I don't know. Like, that makes sense. Like a real, like hard kind of, you know, UK. It's just like, it's so hard. Like, that's how I can describe it. Like, it's just a really hard song. Like,
it's like with Kofi, man. I'm such a fan of Kofi as well, and like it was such a dream to like get him on the project, because like he's doing huge bits at the moment, like, and to have him like featured on that was just such a like, you know, oh, I must be doing something right to get him on the project, like, so yeah.
Was there a point with the streams from Looks Like Rain where you were like, this, like when you saw the numbers that you're doing, you really, like in your mind, you're like, okay, this is actually getting real now. This is kind of seriously going my way.
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, like my goals changed as I like throughout the years. Like I was definitely like early on, I was definitely like a Flying Lotus, like knowledge head that just wanted to put out like beat tapes. And like as my music progressed and stuff, I definitely realized that I'm probably good at like producing for other people, you know, like maybe that's what I should do. And then eventually I realized that is what I want to do. Like I want to make good music with other people, like, you know. And yeah, like when the numbers came in for that, like it just was like, and even like seeing some of the people that were like appreciating it, like Maverick Saber, and like, you know, Eden and those guys, just like showing it love and stuff like that, really like was a big boost for me. Because, you know, like obviously like I'm not like a musician or anything, like I you know, I can't like sit down and play like keys like freely or whatever, like come up with something crazy like all these guys can. So it's just a case of like I do feel like I do feel like I work hard, and like I'm able to I'm able to kind of focus in on like a goal and like work hard to try and achieve it. But this was like after seeing the numbers and stuff, as you said, like I was definitely like, oh yeah, maybe this is an option that I could
really go and do it.
Yeah, like pursue to some extent anyway. Obviously you have to be realistic, but yeah, I think it just showed that I could like make something that people liked, at least, you know. So
well, I think it's like going back on what you said, that you're like, you're not a musician. Like I really think like the meaning of the word is changing so much, like, you know, and for you to have a full album out under like this alias is like is such a special thing. And like, I have to say, I'll dub you myself as like a musician, and like, you know, one doing great stuff at that.
Thank you.
But I think that like a lot of people, like the way music is being made now is so much different. Like the most interesting bit is kind of like when you have a conversation with someone and, you know, they say, oh, I love that new Drake song, or I love that new Kanye song, and they kind of forget that even though it's their voice in it, they're putting down a verse, it's these guys, you know, who are creating these mad loops, like and stuff on Fruity Loops. And so you see these guys who are beat makers, and they're doing it like let's say, you know, in their teens and 20s, and then they hit one, they make one really banging one, and they're like, oh yeah, I just made it, you know, on my laptop in, you know, school with my headphones on, you know, and it just hits. So like those guys are musicians, like, you know, because if you don't have the ear for it, you just don't have, you know, you need that kind of scope on, you know, how a beat should be like. And even when you made like, you know, some of the beats for Looks Like Rain, did you kind of, we'll go back to Dreamcatcher for a sec, let's say, were you like, okay, this is a tune that I need Kojak on, or Kev, like, or was it just kind of like, did you know that tune was going to be, you know, a Kojak tune?
No, not that one, because actually the first time, this is like a good story actually, the first time I heard the verse for Dreamcatcher was at the Boiler Room set in October of last year. So like Kev was like, oh, I sent Kev the beat because it was one of the best, like it was one of the best beats that I had on the project. I just sent it to him to like listen to or whatever,
Yeah.
and he was like, "Oh man!" Like I put a verse, and I was like, "What? Really?" Like, "Oh, let me hear that." And he like rapped it to me, like right before the set, and like the plan was to like rap it like during the set, like kind of buzz, and it didn't, whatever anyway. But yeah, man, like that he fucking like that verse is like I feel like because that was a real moment for me, like where like the beat that I made like matched like the
The
rapper's
person.
verse like so fucking well, like, and it was just like damn, like that was such a watershed moment or whatever you want to call it, like,
Yeah.
um, and yeah, but I did that one, man. I didn't know that was for Kev at all, like, and when he put the verse down, it just like made so much sense. I think particularly like at the time as well, like where what he was doing with his career and stuff, and the beat, just like what he was talking about and stuff, and it just like was real like a real like big song, like,
It's like an
and
anthem nearly, like.
exactly, yeah, yeah. It's like it's one that you like. I don't know. It's just it's like a hype, like gets you inspired, man. I love that about that tune, But
I know.
no, but to answer your question, no, I didn't know that was for Kev at all. But thank
That's a
God he
real
put that person.
that's it. Like I run a good bit, like, and that's one of the tunes I definitely have on my running playlist. Like, at the start, like
Oh
yup,
man,
yup, yup, fuck throwing shit.
so good.
I love that.
Yeah, man.
It's
Oh, that's brilliant, man. That's brilliant.
it's
Jeez.
definitely it's definitely like a highlight tune for me, coming out of Ireland, never mind the album, where I'm like, oh, that is such a good tune. And it's one of
Oh
those,
man.
it reminds me of, I don't know whether you probably do know the song. The song that I think Keen and Kev did for an all city thing. It's called Whitney.
Whitney, yeah, yeah, yeah.
It
Producer
has,
Matt Finnegan, shout out, yeah.
yeah, that is it kind of is on the same level as that tune, but except a little bit
Mm,
heavier. And that tune is buried. Like, that's a lot of
yeah,
people probably don't really know about that tune.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, man, I love that song. That Whitney tune is banging as well. Yeah, so to say that it's like that is a big compliment.
Yeah, for sure.
Huge.
What's kind of what would a Gaptoof concert look like?
Well, we had the launch party for Looks Like Rain in the Roundy in Cork, like right before lockdown, like, and it was just like basically like a DJ set, and then like all the people that were featured on the project, like Bar, like Kofi, and like Mimi Cat, obviously because they're in the UK, like were just like on stage doing their bits. But yeah, like I to be honest, when people have asked me like, oh, would you play this project live and stuff, and like to be honest, I don't think I would, because it's just like it's it only works if like the people that are featured on it are
Are
there,
there?
like, I think what's more interesting for like a person like me and like for the audience is like if I was to do like a DJ set or whatever, like, I wouldn't really regard myself as like a brilliant DJ, but like I think I've got like got like I like to think that I've got good taste, and like people would like to hear what I have
Play, yeah.
to put together, like, and man, I think that's like a lot more interesting for like a producer to like play songs that they kind of
Gravitate
like and
towards.
that, yeah, and like what inspires them. And like one guy, Brian, like another producer, on the label, he's like a mental DJ, and like seeing him perform, like, obviously he's the kind of artist who could actually perform his songs live as well, because he sings as well, and like he could play. This fella can do it. Like Brian can do everything anyway, but like, he could actually perform. But see, I can't, like, unless I had like a bit of a song that had like keys in it or something that I could maybe like play.
Rip
But yeah, I think just DJing though for me is like more interesting, and it's like more interesting for the audience member, because like people like Madlib, or like, people like Knowledge or whatever, who like will do a DJ set, like, but they also like they're like a fully fledged producer, but they don't really play their own stuff live, kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely more interesting for me to see, and like for me to be involved in, I think. So like that's what I was doing before Looks Like Rain, and that's what I was doing like slightly after it as well, when everything came out, and then obviously lockdown happened. So hopefully like we can get back to playing sets and stuff soon. But yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of like, it seems maybe with the tunes that have features on them, they're kind of, you know, songs that would be great at the people who's featured on the songs, their concerts, you know, that kind of way. Like,
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And that's what I'd like to think as well, that like, you know, I could make songs for people that like the crowd loves, or like that they have big like live tunes that go off that I produced, like rather than me like performing my own shit, if you know what I mean. Like, yeah.
So is there anything down the line, like, you know, are you working on anything at the moment project wise, or are you kind of just working, like what's your focus at the moment now, music wise?
Well, I'm trying to get a lot more placements. I'm trying to work with like a lot more people over here and stuff. And in terms of like releases and stuff, like I'm thinking about an EP like next year at some stage, but I want to do something a little bit different with it, like as opposed to like what I've done before, like Looks Like Rain and stuff. So I'm not really sure. I'm trying to like suss that out in my head, what exactly I want to do with it. But bottom line, like for me at the moment, is like I want to just get like a rake of placements. That's like, I'm kind of like hungry for that, you know, like I want to like work with a lot of people over here and like try and get my production kind of more like solidified, like with artists that I like love and that I want to provide like beats and music for, like, hopefully. And like I think moving here is just like, it's just a way of getting closer to that, you know, like as opposed to sending stuff back and forth. But yeah, like my goal at the moment is like my immediate goal is to get placements, and my vague in the future goal is to put out another EP, I think. So yeah, that's kind of generally,
that's the plan.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for doing this, Gaptoof, and I really look forward to seeing what you have in store next, for your audience and for everyone else. Thanks so much.
No worries at all, man. Really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me on as well.
Once again, thank you very much to Gaptoof for coming on. You know, I haven't done this since the first episode, but I'm going to leave you with my favourite tune from Adam. With Kojak on this one, and we talked about this one a lot during this podcast. So I'm going to leave you with Dreamcatcher. And until next week, see ya.
Yep. Fuck throwing shade. I'ma beat the brakes off your mind like he owe me and still won't pay. Like he owe me a school on break. Like he sold me some Boley and shit, and he phoned me when I flambe. Ain't no after school lecture, my cousin gon' come and get ya. Pull you out the Punto Panya on the stretcher. One gun salute, gon' take out your whole troop. Man, the priest getting slapped over here, been round to bless ya. Been roll off, I've been poor, been put on wax. Been tryna get used to that. I've been money, been honey, been left with the bill last laugh. While you gripping on your tip in the jacks. My girl's got lip and ass and only fans. Wanna tell her you can link her to cash. Hell of a life, but hell I'm back. And the shirt to match. Burn marks where the split collapsed. I've been feeling like the ceiling is glass. Could be the whole gap feet away. I toss the pebble and dash. I'm in the clouds, I can hear the crash. It's just my life. Don't pinch me, man, I'm still dreaming.
This couldn't be a dream. I'm crazy as it seems. This couldn't be a dream. Easy as it seems. This couldn't be a dream.
Fine dine, your muscles and white wine. You hate all your boys' friends, but tell me you like mine. Polygamous like mine, it's sent for me like grind. It's sent for me past that, we fuck to the morn's night. You're touching me like lightning, tingle my spine. Twin the clap, your legs sure slapping your behind. I tape it to rewind, paying that late fine. Return it to blockbuster, bust on the inside like verbal Kama Sutra, hit a nipper on your earlobe. Herbal kinds are used for man, I'm brutal off the beer load. Hot it up the head though, she's my little weirdo. Got this fucking goofy ass smile when she appeared though.
What the fuck is this shit? Can you talk about depression or some shit?
And is this my life? Don't pinch me, man, I'm still dreaming.